How's it going, everyone? And welcome back. So yeah, this is probably not what you were expecting for this year's Halloween video, or what I'm hoping will be out on Halloween. Maybe it'll be a few days after, who knows. Anyway, so I did have a plan for Halloween, and it was not this game to start off with. It was going to be another game which we were going to do a collab for, which I'm keeping secret because, you know, I want that video to come out later on or whenever it does, and I want it to be just perfect. So we were going to do a collab video for Halloween, but my schedule just became rampant with hours at my job, so the plan shifted. And yeah, so I figured it was kind of running close to Halloween, and I figured I wanted to try and get something out for the occasion. And well, you already see the title of this video, and you're probably wondering why I decided to do this game. Well, that's why, right there. I mean, hey, I released a Mario video for Christmas, and I mean, the last time I looked at AVGN was New Year's, so let's just have AVGN for every holiday. So let's dive right in, shall we?
So I think it's safe to say that AVGN Adventures was a success. It got some favorable reviews, it was really popular around that time, and it made enough money to warrant a release on both the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS. In October of 2015, something magical happened. A sequel was announced that advertised new moves and power-ups to find, improved visuals with new and unique levels to explore, and best of all, not a single death block in sight. I remember watching this trailer in the hallways of my high school and being so excited to play this, but, well, we'll get to it. The game would officially launch in March of that next year on Steam, and nothing else. Yeah, even today, the original version of the game still remains a PC exclusive, and I never understood why it was never made anywhere else. Might not have sold enough to get it, but still, I wanted to play this on my PS4 for the longest time, damn it. As for my experience with this, I played it a short while after I got my first laptop back in 2018, and this was among one of the first few Steam games I ever owned. Other than the first game. And Batman. Plus Mortal Kombat for added measure. I've gone back to it here and there, but now is the time for me to put this on the internet and tell the world what I think of this game in 2024. So yeah, as mentioned before, we're gonna look at the game that has been sitting in my Steam library for all these years. I was gonna look at AVGN Deluxe as well, but I'm in a bit of a rush and I want to get this video out for the Halloween season. Sorry to anyone who was looking forward to me playing it, but I will cover this for Revisited after we get done Spider-Man Remastered, so it shouldn't be too long a wait. Alright, time to get into the deep and meaningful plot that this game has. I recorded on the camera, but it didn't save for whatever reason, so. It's a peaceful day with Mike, Bullshit Man, and Shit Pickle enjoying a drink together. Suddenly this beam turns everyone into monsters, and the nerd wakes up to find himself in a pixelated game room. After saving Motherfucker Mike and going through the tutorial, the Nostalgia Critic shows up and... Anyway, he jumps down and after a Proto Man styled boss, he drops a piece of the Sex Force which just happened to be in the basement. It is now up to you to collect the remaining 5 pieces and use them to return the world to the way it was and save your friends in the process. So just like last time, the plot isn't all that deep, but it's a story that works just as well. I find it somewhat more interesting than the first game just for the circumstances of the game being built around you as opposed to you being transported into one. But just like before, it takes a backseat after the tutorial, in which I guess it's the intent of this series. It doesn't bug me personally, but I know there's someone out there smashing their keyboard saying that this isn't layered enough. For those who want to get the cliff notes and jump into the action straight away, these games are for you. Overall, I enjoyed what was presented, but let's get into the real meat of the package.
Pop this fucker in, turn this son of a bitch on, and play some...
When it comes to the fundamental mechanics, they are exactly as they were before. He can still jump around like nobody's business and shoot in multiple directions. His jumps, I noticed this time, can be a bit more floaty, but also have some weight to it, so if you're not careful around a bottomless pit, you'll drop down like a rock. Besides that, the nerd is still a blast to control, and nothing is more satisfying than blowing an enemy to bloody pieces. As for power-ups, we have some new ones and also the steel balls. Yay! I'm teasing, but actually they're more useful than they were last time, since now they bounce. In tight areas, this absolutely destroys everything in its path. As for new additions, we have the F-bombs, which pack a punch and have a nice radius. The keg, which is great to use in stressful situations like bosses and such. The spread shot, which is great in theory, but has the same issue as the super scope from last game, where if you get hit, you lose it, so... shit. Most of them are fun to try out, but for me, I prefer using my zapper to take out whatever is in my way. So since your friends have been turned into monsters, they're no longer able to be switched to. Instead, this game has a few upgrades sprinkled around, and these are for the most part great to use. First is the loafers, which gives you a wall jump, which is fun to abuse. Next is the power glove that allows you to punch certain walls and enemies up close. The hit detection can be a pain for killing enemies, but I like the attempt of melee. The Swear and Scout is basically the Mike Matei ability, which allows you to see hidden platforms and power-ups. The Power Pad is a nice charge shot and makes short work of the bigger threats. The Cape has a short hover and comes in clutch for those particular platforming sequences. Lastly is the Super Scope, which is a more powerful version of the Zapper, and I adore it. I love all the upgrades, and they each have some actual use to them. They make the levels just a bit more fun to go through, and while you can go through the game without getting them, you'd be missing out on seeing the added usage they bring. Some are more useful than others, like the Cape or the Super Scope, but overall I'd take these over the character switching mechanic any day. Besides the guitar guy, the other characters didn't really have a purpose besides finding secrets and such. The upgrades, however, I can find use for them, whether it's a tricky level or a boss that just needs a little added firepower to take down. The gameplay overall is a vastly improved beast compared to its predecessor. If the first game is classic Mega Man, this game is the Mega Man X of the series. I love the added upgrades and power-ups that can be fun to use in the right circumstances. There's just enough added to keep things fresh, and it goes a long way to make the game more fun to play.
Now on to the other stuff.
There are 5 worlds with 3 levels apiece and a boss at the end. There's the tutorial and a final level after collecting the Sex-Force pieces also, but let's get into it. After the Nerd Room, you're free to pick any area you want, which includes Board James, Nerd Gaiden, Brown Town, Monster Madness, Area 52, and lastly the Final Tower. I love all these areas, and getting to them with a Mario 3 styled overworld is a nice touch as well. I love that this game is not just a tribute to the AVGN, but to Cinemassacre as well, with the appearance of Monster Madness and Board James, which were staples of my childhood as much as the nerd.
Godzilla-thon, anybody?
Most of the levels just consist of getting to the end and blowing it up, but they change things every once in a while with a flying section here, a minecart sequence there, and an anti-gravity part there for good measure. Generally, this keeps things from getting stale, but the bite-sized levels becomes an issue when it just ends after you feel like things have just got moving. Besides the upgrades, there are these nerd letters to collect, and these are more so for an achievement, which is a bit of a shame. If you die after getting it, you keep it when you reload back to your last checkpoint, which is great and makes this game less of a pain in the ass if you decide to go for all of them. As for the upgrades, most of them are in the first level of their respective worlds, except for the Super Scope, which is in the last level of Area 52, and they make you work for it also. The main bosses are all great. I can't even pick a favorite, I like them all equally. There's mini bosses as well, which are mostly the nostalgia critic, and these are... there, I guess? Graphics are much improved compared to previously. Colors are rich, and the added details to sprites and backgrounds are great to see. The music is great stuff too. It isn't as memorable as the first game's soundtrack, but what it is here is really top-notch stuff as well. My favorite tracks have to be the title screen, the tutorial, Area 52, and Brown Town, just to name a few. props to the final level for having a remix of Laugh and Joke and Numb Nuts. Some might see that as lazy, but I don't care, I'm happy to hear this comeback.
I think that about covers what I wanted to. So, let's get to the end of the video, I guess.
AVGN 2 ASSimilation is a much improved sequel and another love letter to not only the nerd fans, but the Cinemassacre crowd as well. Unlike the last game where I only thought the people who would enjoy it the most was its intended audience, I would say for this one you don't need to be a James Rolfe fan to enjoy it as a whole. Although it does help. The story has a fun setup with some improved writing throughout that captures the nerd's voice much more closely. The gameplay is still the same great Mega Man / Contra hybrid it was, with some added bells and whistles to keep things interesting, and some level design that is much more fair and isn't trying to make you split your monitor in two. Also, if you're an AVGN fan, you're gonna love all the winks and nods they throw at you all over the place. In short, I really enjoyed going through this, and I would recommend you add this to your libraries as well. Like the last game, it's about $6 on Steam, so you're not really going to be breaking the bank at all if you buy this. Play this and you too will have your ass simulated. I couldn't really come up with anything for that last line, so just go with it.
So yeah, that is going to be the end of the video. Sorry, this is a non-scripted part. Yeah, I wanted to apologize for the lack of content as of recently. Like I said, my schedule's been pretty packed, so I haven't really had the time to kind of really sit down and work on anything. It's mostly just been work and other personal things going on that have just been kind of holding me back. But hopefully for the next couple months, we make some content. I already have some stuff planned. Like, we have our movies, which I'll just say right now. It's Batman 89, and then for Christmas, hopefully, if I can get it ready on time, then we will be doing Batman Returns. So just to kind of cap off the end of the year. I'm also trying to kind of do stuff in between. As for the next special review, well, I did have something in mind for, it being the 11th video. I was kind of thinking like Mega Man 11 just as an idea, but we'll see what kind of time we have for that as we go along. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their support and whatnot, not only on just this channel, but we've been doing a lot of stuff on intensive treatment as of lately with our penitentiary playthroughs and our podcasts and whatnot. And so that's been a whole lot of fun. And so for anybody watching over on intensive treatment and you're new here, thank you for subscribing and whatnot and watching my stuff. But yeah, we'll see what the rest of the year holds out, or we'll try to anyway. But anyway, have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, take care of yourselves. Man, this was a dumb costume idea. Not even real glasses.